Well, we are in October and I'm here with Fiona. Hi, Fiona.
Hello, hello. I can't believe a month's gone so quickly.
I know. I feel like that we spoke together yesterday, and I am now starting to see all the Christmas merchandise in the shops. We are only at the October month, so I
I
think that
know.
before we know it, the festive season will be here. But in the meantime, we need to catch up on what has happened last month. What do you think?
Yeah, so last month I spoke about how August was actually quite a surprise. It was much busier than it usually is in August, which was nice. And then, as expected, we always get really, really strong September in the run up to Christmas. I think people are still hoping that they'll move into their property for Christmas, but I'm trying to manage people's expectations a little bit because things do seem to be taking a little bit longer in the industry at the moment with getting to completion. So yeah, hopefully we'll see some people in before Christmas, but maybe not everybody this year.
Yeah. Well, the good thing is that in terms of the property sales that have been available in the area that we cover, there were many more on the market than in August. And September is always, as you said, that month where people want to sell in order to be a new home for Christmas, which reflects also on the numbers. And we've seen, based on the Rightmove stats that we've got, that there were 1,504 properties on the market in September, which is an increase by 18.3% since August, because in August it was 1,228. And having said that, it means that 345 new properties came on the market in September. So 345 people only in our area that we cover as an agent decided to come on the market, which is great, because it's actually, believe or not, Fiona, 35% more properties available than in September 2023.
Wow.
Yeah. In September 2023, there were only 254 properties on the market. And if you think about it, when you said that you've been busy the previous months with the mortgage applications and everything, it indicates that the sellers are looking to move. And it means that there is an opportunity for buyers because they have more properties to choose from.
Yeah, I think people are feeling more confident in the market. We've had a Bank of England base rate reduction. And, we're looking at some much nicer looking interest rates. There was a point last year where a lot of rates had a 6 in front of them, and now there's actually a couple with a 3 in front of them. So, that's really, really positive, and the lenders are really trying to keep, the property market buzzing. And I really do feel like, people are feeling a lot happier now and more confident about moving. And that is reflected in those stats for sure.
It is. And, you really excited me now when you said that there are a couple of products with a number 3 at the beginning of the interest rate. How exciting is this?
It is exciting. I'm loving speaking to clients again and not having to give bad news all the time. It's so refreshing.
May it continue. And it's great. It's really great because, again, if I look at statistics about, and I look at the number of sales agreed, in September in our areas, there were altogether across all the agents 198 property sales agreed, which again is an increase against the same month last year. Same as last year, it was only 165, which means that this year there have been in our area about 20% increase on the sales agreed, and that feeds obviously into what you are saying about the mortgages, because people can get lending and can get more affordable lending than they could get last year, and also if I look at the amount of the reduced properties, whilst we had an increase of the properties on the market, the amount of reduced property prices have remained approximately the same. There were 196 properties reduced in September, and last year it was 198, which is almost same number. However, if you look that last year we had less properties on the market, if you work out the figures, it means that the amount of reduced properties this year was only 13%, whereas last year it was 16. So, whilst I keep encouraging people, price your property accordingly, don't overprice it, just price it right. I can see that this is happening across the board, that more and more the properties are being priced realistically, which is exciting.
That is good. That's good to hear.
Yeah. It's all as I always say, Fiona, Rome wasn't built in one day, and the recovery of the market is slow, but it's steady and it's getting there. We've got obviously one hot topic to discuss as well today, and that's for our landlords, and that's the renters' right bill, which is something that has been actually worrying a lot of people, especially a lot of landlords. And you obviously deal with buy-to-let mortgages as well, and with the landlords, so you know about this as well. And it was we touched upon the renters' right bill in our previous podcast, and now we've seen that it was introduced to the UK Parliament on 11 September, and some of the topics that the bill will, or some of the areas that the bill will cover, that it will prohibit Section 21 evictions. It will want to establish a new tenancy system and implement updated regulations to property standards and rent increases. And as we know, all the landlords want their properties, or at least the landlords that we deal with, want their properties to be good, tenants to be happy in them, look after them. They want to have their investment as well protected. And therefore a lot of landlords have been worried that if the Section 21 gets abolished, what will happen then? Have you had these discussions perhaps with your clients, your buy-to-let clients who've been looking at mortgages for their investment properties?
Yeah, I think landlords are feeling a little disappointed at the moment, because I feel like in some of them feel like they're being hit left, right, and centre with regulation changes, with taxation, and now this bill as well. I'm getting mixed responses actually, because one of the things I've realised with some of the landlords that I've been speaking to over the last few years is they actually quite like to vet the tenants themselves. So the letting agent would do that, but I have sort of had some landlords who've said, well, I'd quite like to meet them too. And I have felt that if that happens, they can be a little bit more open to who will be living in the property. I know that now, there's going to be some changes as if you've got a pet, or children, there can't be sort of blanket strict rules and regulations. So you can't have pets, you can't have children. So I think for landlords, maybe if they just get to know the tenant more, they actually might feel that they welcome this bill, because it's like what we have to do as mortgage brokers. It's know your client, know them well, so you can give the right advice. But I think as well for landlords, if they know their tenants, then maybe building up a better relationship with them will help with, I think, all of what's coming with the bill, to be honest.
Yeah, and I think that's really important. You hit the nail on its head when you say get to know your tenant, and this is something that I always also tell the landlords. I always discuss with them. You've got an investment property. Who is your client? Who do you want to cater for? Do you want to provide the accommodation for families or for young professionals? Because we've got many investment strategies. We've got HMOs, we've got single lets, you've got country homes, you've got city living. And it's really important for landlords to understand. And we, for example, as an agent, we always vet all the tenants and get the understanding who is the tenant who wants to live in the property, and then discuss it with our client. And I think it's really important because when we look at the renters' right bill, there is second reading scheduled for 9th of October, and a guide to the bill was released on 26th of September. And when we look at it, whilst it contains some specific details, there are still very unclear timelines, and therefore I would encourage the landlords not to panic at the moment, because the government needs to, if they abolish Section 21, they are looking at new and expanded possession grounds. There needs to be a way how the landlord can get their property back if they need to sell it, or they need to move back to it. There will be what will be also as a part of the bill. There will be new measures to end rental bidding wars by the landlords and letting agents. And as you said, the tenant will have right to request PET, and landlord will be allowed to request insurance to cover potential damage, which I think is right, because if you want to have a pet in the property, you need to also accept responsibility should there be any damage. It's only it needs to be give and take. That's how I always look. Tenants expect that they will get everything without nothing. If I go on holiday and I've got my dog and I am going to rent a holiday cottage that is pet friendly, I always ensure that I leave that cottage clean as if it wasn't there. And if I damaged it, then I had to take responsibility for it.
Yeah, no, I think it's perfectly reasonable. If you're going to have a pet in a property, then the landlord should be able to request that there is insurance in place. Because even though the landlord's potentially vetting the tenant, I mean, we've got the cutest looking cat. She looks absolutely beautiful, like butter wouldn't melt in her mouth, but you should see our carpet. There's little areas she's been like So yeah,
exactly. We had that in one of the rental properties where the landlord allowed cat, and the cat scratched the carpet, and then obviously the claim was made via deposit to and the tenant accepted it. Tenant first was saying, well, it's just freight from walking, but then they did accept that the damage was caused by their cat, and therefore we managed to get the deposit payment, or basically the damage from the deposit. And it's really important that people do take responsibility for these things. And that's one of the things I think is that constant education. And I would be really hoping that the government will acknowledge that it cannot be just one-way street. And what we need to just look at is there are many more obviously things in the renters bill that will be obviously proposed, and if people want to pop in on my blog, there is a list of those items. But what we need to have a look at is that the government is being consulted. We are as an agent, we are a member of Property Mark, which is an approving body for letting agents and estate agents across the country. And the Property Mark regularly lobbies government and consults government about those issues. So we would be hoping that that whilst we all acknowledge that it's good to raise standard of private rental sector, I don't believe that the buck should just end only with the landlord. I think there needs to be responsibility taken by all parties, and the government really ought to show support to the private landlords.
Yeah, completely agree.
Yeah. Well, it will be quite interesting when we meet next month to see what has happened with with the bill. I'm sure that we will have more information. It will be also exciting to hear what the mortgage market is doing, because you're always like step ahead of us, aren't you?
Yeah, I mean it's really exciting time. Like I say, we are finding that lenders are trying to stimulate things, and we've got some really good options for first-time buyers, which might be something to discuss later on. Even 0% deposit options, which is a huge thing to have back in the market. So yeah, it's an exciting time. I think we're actually going to see some really positive changes.
Oh, great. You know what? People ought to really speak to you if there is something like that available. Could you, for those who are watching this podcast, could you tell people how to contact you so they don't have to be Googling you? And I can obviously pop the details on the podcast link, but that's great.
Yeah. The best way, really, there's a contact form on our website, which is quercusmortgages.co.uk. So that's QUERCUS mortgages.co.uk. There's a contact form on there, or we have info at Quercus Mortgages for our emails. So they're probably the best ways to contact us. But yeah, we're getting a lot of inquiries about this kind of thing. So it's really nice to be able to talk about positive changes.
Well, that's fantastic, Fiona. That's really good. And it kind of ends our this month's installment on the high note after the discussion about the renters' right bill. So thank you very much for all your updates, and I will see you again at the beginning of November.
Yeah, thank you very much. See you soon.
See you soon, Fiona. Bye.